whilst most Nigerians think say sovereignty means untouchable. Well, my brother, I'm here to burst your bubble. That's na big fabu. As a matter of fact, you get the kind things where government of a country fit do wey go weaken sovereignty. Oyibo dey call am crossing the red lines. Yes, you get the kind things where government go do, e go translate to crossing the red lines, and this go warrant leaders of other nations or even the United Nations to enter that country. Make una wait, make I break am down for una. Now, welcome back to this Ogbonge news review by Kogbe TV. Today, we'll be looking at sovereignty, and I will explain why sovereignty no necessarily mean untouchable for most nations. You know, if you read news recently, you go realize say most Nigerians be dey complain when President Donald Trump talk say im go enter Nigeria militarily. A lot of people they talk say we are sovereign nations, you no get the right, you no get this, you no get that. No. Now you no get the right information. The truth is, if a country crosses certain red lines, sovereignty becomes mere grammar because it becomes weak, and other nations, including the United Nations, can actually come into that country or carry out military attacks to targeted zones. I will give you now 5 examples of wetin leaders, governments of nations fit do wey fit weaken the sovereignty and then warrant to other nations or United Nations coming into that country to save lives. Point 1, genocide and mass killing. You see, where there are genocide and mass killings or Christian persecutions, the country's sovereignty becomes weak and neighboring countries can interfere. This is possible because in the world, there's a law called responsibility to protect. That law gives other nations right to interfere where there is mass killing and the government of the day of that nation is looking away or cannot help itself. Point 2, when terrorists operate freely within a country, that also weakens the sovereignty of that country, and other nations could strike terrorist stronghold within that country. Point 3, this is very serious. This is a situation where government officials support terrorism. In a situation where government officials are found to support terrorism, governments and leaders of neighboring nations or even the United Nations can interfere by freezing the accounts of these individuals, by arresting them, issuing a global warrant, or sometimes even targeted strikes against them. Point 4, when a country loses control of its territory to rebels, bandits, or terrorists, sovereignty is weakened. This can prompt foreign forces to enter and take military actions in order to restore law and order, and this is acceptable under international law. Point 5 and the last for today, internal chaos. How can internal chaos cause a country's sovereignty to become weakened? Yes, it can. You can remember what happened in Gambia in 2017 when the ECOWAS invaded Gambia. Yes, internal chaos could cause a country to expose a neighboring country to danger. When this happens, other nations, other countries are permitted to interfere. And that was why the ECOWAS interfered in Gambia in 2017 to restore law and order. Having said all this, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that sovereignty doesn't mean untouchable. Sure. So finally, we have come to the end of today's Ogbonge news review. And if you're somebody that likes straight talks, honest talks, truth undiluted, hit the subscribe button, follow me, share, and drop your comments. I'll be there to respond ASAP.